focus guide gets the goal. And the goal is more money, of course. So let's talk about how. First, let's establish 3 things. First, every sale, including insurance sales, every sale sits inside of a sales framework. Okay? Which is essentially the scaffolding of the conversation that you have with your lead in order to get them to decide to buy. And every sales framework mirrors the hero's journey. Okay. Second thing, every hero's journey requires a guide. You are the guide. You are required on the sales call. And you are required to display a specific set of traits that we'll talk about later. Third thing is that every lead needs to be anchored in their hero state for decision making. Of course, every journey requires a hero. Every hero's journey requires a hero. The lead needs to be anchored in their hero state for when they make decisions so that they will be able to reach their goal, which in this case is going to be coverage plus peace of mind. Okay. Now let's talk more about the hero's journey that is the sales framework. In a hero's journey, or in the hero's journey, we have a hero who embarks on a journey, feels a calling to accomplish some goal, get some achievement. So they start the journey. Along the journey, they come across their guide, who provides them with the rules and the tools to equip them for success. And the success is reaching or attaining the goal. Likewise, in the sales framework, which is the structure of the conversation, the sales conversation that you have with your leads in order to get them to decide to buy, it's structured where a lead who has the same calling in order to rectify a situation that they believe needs change, they come across you, the agent. And you equip them with the rules and the tools for them to reach their goal, which is the coverage, in this case. So now let's define the traits that make an agent a good guide, focus guide, hopefully, and turn a lead into a hero. Let's do it red. So for an agent, first of all, an agent is focused. Okay, there are a lot of variables on the journey that is a sales call, so we need to control as many as we can, mainly by remaining focused and ideally primarily focused on reaching the goal, right? Because on the journey there will be distractions, objections, things that make the journey not as straight or as clear as it may be for the agent or the guide in the eyes of the hero or the lead. Okay, so it's the guide's job to maintain focus on the goal and make sure that we as a team reach the goal by the end of the journey. And anything that isn't the goal isn't the goal. Second is experience. Right? The guide has been here before. The guide's been on the journey before. The guide's had many calls before. So the guide, for that reason, will lead the conversation because they know what happens in each step and what's required for everyone to reach their goal. Next is providing the rules and the tools, which in this case is not necessarily just coverage, but the benefits of the coverage that speak to the pain point of the lead, right? Which we do as part of the framework in the discovery. We'll talk about that later. But the point is that the guide knows what it takes, what sacrifices need to happen in order to attain the goal, and they help the hero discover those things for themselves so that they actually reach it. And then lastly, and most importantly, the guide makes sure the lead is anchored in their hero state for decision making, and then in turn reminds the hero of their role and of the overall goal. Okay? Very important job for the guide. Now that we have that, let's talk more about the hero's role. So the hero needs to make decisions in order for everyone to reach their goal. The hero needs to display particular traits when they make those decisions. So the hero needs to be good. The hero needs to be responsible, brave when necessary, and overall powerful with respect to their decision making with regard to reaching the goal, which is getting coverage for this scenario, right? So, and we'll talk about it more when we talk about the framework, but every lead that we speak to already displays these traits, because every lead, if they're talking about coverage of any kind, they need to cover some assets and some beneficiaries, which means they have assets and they have beneficiaries, which means they've displayed these traits before, because you cannot have assets and beneficiaries without being good, responsible, brave, and powerful in your decision making at some point. So essentially, what we're going to do is highlight how they are powerful, brave, responsible, and good right now, given foreseen circumstances, which is how they have assets and beneficiaries to get coverage for, and we help them understand that they need to carry those traits when considering the unforeseen, which is why you need coverage, because you need a plan and you need protection against the unforeseen. Things that you cannot see, you don't know are going to happen, but have a chance and likeliness of happening, but you have a plan for them, so you're covered, right? And if you make the powerful, brave, responsible, and good decision, then you are the hero that you are already in the foreseen, also against the unforeseen. Anyway, so these are the traits that the hero displays. And we want to make sure that our lead acknowledges these traits, that they have these traits, because that will empower them to make the decisions that it takes to reach their goal, which is coverage. So now let's go over the framework, the sales framework, let's migrate over here. So in the sales framework, again, remember, which is not, it's not a script. Scripts are a little restricting because you want a conversation to flow. You're building rapport with this individual who is your lead turned hero in the conversation, okay? You're getting to know each other, you're building trust. So it can't be something very binary or very, computer-like, where they're essentially just talking to like a human application filler and they're just filling information. However, you do need that information verified, qualified, and to make sure that you get context so that you're able to speak to the benefits of the coverage you provide that actually answer the issues that are the pain point that our lead turned hero is experiencing, okay? So your sales framework is broken down into 6 milestones, essentially 6 steps, right? You start with the introduction, Then you information gather. Then you identify the actual pain point. Then you can provide a solution, which allows you to help your lead turned hero now go over the cost versus benefits of making the decision to buy versus not making the decision they need to make. And then ultimately, the decision to buy. Right? This is the process. Let's break down a little bit of each of these. So in the introduction is where you, the agent, essentially establishes that you are the guide, right? In a way, you actually anchor yourself into the guide's state, which is that you're focused, particularly on the goal and getting everyone to the goal. We're a team at this point, getting everyone to the goal. You have the experience to do it. You've done this before. You have the roadmap. You understand where all the roadblocks are, and you have the rules and the tools to overcome those potential setbacks in order to help our hero step into their role, good, responsible, brave, and powerful, and make the ultimate decision to get coverage. Okay? Which is the last, and again, the most important trait, skill that the guide exhibits is that not only do they anchor the lead in their hero state and remind them that they are the hero in this saga, in this journey, but they remind them of what that entails in terms of their role, which is to be powerful, brave, responsible, and good. In other words, I should say, not to be weak in their decision making, they are the decision maker. Okay, you remind them of that. Not to be cowardly in their decision making. They need to understand that despite the level of discomfort they may be feeling in the moment about making a new change, the greater good is still outweighs their personal feelings in the moment. And a hero understands that. They've done that before, right? They're not irresponsible in their decision making, and they're not bad or doing things that ultimately end up with bad results in terms of their decision making. So it's important that the agent anchored now in their guide decision making helps the lead to be anchored in their hero state and ultimately reach their goal, which is, I should write that down actually, whatever coverage we're selling for themselves and their loved ones, beneficiaries, and then also, which is not talked about enough, the peace of mind that comes from having accomplished the goal for themselves, but really for their loved ones, right? So the ultimate goal is actually the peace of mind that they get from acquiring the coverage. That our guide is focused and experienced enough to provide them the rules and tools to help them remember what they're supposed to do, which is be powerful, brave, responsible, and good, so that they can reach their goal, which is really peace of mind by getting the coverage. Okay. Back to the sales framework. So we start by establishing that we are the guide. You know, you want to establish that you are the authority in the conversation. You are the one asking the questions. You're the one doing the fact finding. You're the one helping the lead discover that they can actually solve their problem through the tools that you provide, basically. And there are videos on each of these steps that I've made. And if anybody wants to go over them or talk about them in depth, no problem. Just let me know. This is all I do, pretty much, or hanging out with my family. That's pretty much it. So we establish ourselves as the guide, right? Who is focused, experienced, provides the rules and the tools for success, and then reminds our lead that they are the hero who displays these traits in order to get the actual goal. Okay? Then next, we do the information gathering. At this point, if it's an RSH lead, it comes with pre-qualified information. We go over, a set of questions with you. The number of them depends on the type of coverage, a couple of other variables, the demographic you're looking for, things of that nature. That being said though, when you get these questions, you want to first verify that what's in your questionnaire, the information that you have when you got this lead, is accurate. and then you want to qualify and make sure that you can actually help this person, right? So you verify and qualify lead information. From there, that will help you with identifying the pain point, which is the actual source of the issue that we're trying to solve here. So from verifying lead information, that will give us the why. Sorry, that will give us the who, I should say. That will give us the who we're looking to cover, i.e., the beneficiary information that we verify and qualify when we do the information gathering. The next thing for identifying the pain point is the why. Why do we feel that we need coverage? Okay. And how you actually glean out this information is twofold. So we start with, let's put it in black. We start with our first question, which is, again, it doesn't need to be exact. You should always lean on your personality, because your individualism is what's going to, identify yourself to the market, your brand to the market, and you want to, and we help you attract those who are more likely to want to do business with you. It's not about getting information to everybody. It's about finding who your avatar is and who responds to the way that you communicate, right? But very generally, first question you want to ask in terms of identifying the pain point after you've gathered the information is something along the lines of what's going on, right? Very general. What's going on? And you want it to be general on purpose, because you want to listen, okay, commend, appreciate, listen, repeat, and commend, appreciate the hero traits that they display already in the foreseen. So you're asking, what's going on? Give me some context about your situation right now. Why is it that we feel, or why is it that you were compelled by the advertising you saw to put in your information and go through the authentication process, to acknowledge that you're going to be contacted, to agree to a time and a date to speak to a specialist about your particular situation and how to rectify it? What is all that? Give me the context, and you want to listen to that, because inside of it, you're going to hear things that they're doing that are powerful, brave, responsible, and good right now in the foreseen. When you hear those things, that's when you listen, you repeat them so that your lead acknowledges that this is true, this is in fact what's going on. And then you commend them so that you lock them in, you anchor them in their hero state. So you're saying basically, okay, I'm hearing that you're doing this thing, you've been doing this thing, you acquired these things, you want to protect this person against the unforeseen and the loss of these things. I commend you on having acquired these things, and this beneficiary, this makes you a hero to yourself and your family. Something that simple. And getting them to acknowledge that, because that means that they are powerful, brave, or they have the ability to be powerful, brave, responsible, and good. We want to anchor them in that state where they're doing those things, because that's what it's going to take in order for them to make the decision to protect those things against the unforeseen. Okay? What color do I want to use? So yes, so we use that to anchor them in their hero state. And so now we have our hero here, right? In terms of decision making. The second question you want to ask is, what goal do we achieve with this coverage? Okay? This question is important to ask because it does a couple of things. First, what goal do we achieve? We are a team. We are a collective at this point. As soon as you can, you want to establish that it's not me versus you or agent versus lead. It's actually hero plus guide against the goal and trying to reach the goal, right? So we're a collective. What goal do we achieve with the coverage? Okay. The second thing is that we've moved our original idea of the goal being coverage past coverage. So we've shifted the frame of the conversation from I have a pain point or I have an issue that I haven't solved to, okay, I've solved the issue. Now, what does that bring me? And essentially you're going to hear, answers like, okay, I'll have been able to overcome, the issue that I have, the pain point that I have. I'll have a plan. I'll have protection. My family will have a plan. Excuse me. My family have protection. So essentially, what we're getting to here is peace, or peace of mind, essentially. Freedom from worry about not having solved or reached this goal or solved this issue, solved this pain point, okay? This is the higher goal. This is what our lead is after, what our hero is after. They're after the peace of having accomplished the goal, okay? And the best way to give themselves peace is to decide to buy the coverage, okay? Is there something else about that? No, that was it. Also, what's important is that we use this peace of mind as a benefit stack, right? So not only do you get the benefits of coverage, but now we have the added benefit of the peace of mind of having taken care of the pain point that's been bothering us and keeping us from feeling like we are the hero who's good, responsible, brave, and powerful that we actually are in the foreseen. We're already doing these things. Okay. So now we have our who, and we have why we believe we need coverage. Now we can provide the solution, which is essentially, details about the coverage. But more importantly, it's let's stay consistent here. More importantly, it's the coverage benefits, right? It's the benefits of the coverage that speak to the pain point. And then, of course, Q&A, and then the cost, right? Which will take us to the cost versus benefit analysis, right? Now, in the process of the cost versus benefit, we've already stacked the benefits of the coverage. We've answered questions. Now we can go into the cost. When we do that, essentially what we're doing is we're taking any perceived cost that our hero has, any perceived worry. So cost A, budget. Cost B could be time. Cost C could be power to make the decision. Cost D could be simple level of discomfort, whatever it is. We take all of those, we go over them, no problem, and we flesh them out. And essentially at the end of the cost versus benefit analysis, we want to make sure that all of the perceived costs, whatever they are, cost A, B, C, D, into infinity, whatever it is, they all pale in comparison to the benefits of the coverage, which include the peace of mind that we've highlighted before, right? Because when we do that adequately, then the decision to buy is a no-brainer. Okay, right? So like I like to say, when you make not buying unreasonable, then the only reasonable action to take is to buy, right? And really, why our lead turned hero in terms of the decision making does make the purchase, it's aside from any perceived cost that they have, it's even really honestly aside from the benefits, although obviously all these things are important, but the factor that best determines your success with closing, in my experience, based on what I've seen, is being able to adequately highlight the peace of mind that our hero gives themselves by finally making the decision to buy coverage for themselves and their loved ones and their assets against the unforeseen. So it's really simple at the end of the day, you know. I should say what we do. What we do at RSH Leads, we go back to, just do red. What we do at RSH Leads is we tell people, we broadcast that our clients, who is you, or future, you'll be you, our clients have the solution for individuals looking for the solution to their pain point, right? So we do advertising, and it's very specific to the clientele of, sorry, I should say to the leads of our clientele, so that they can speak to them, go through this process where they take them through the hero's journey, where they essentially remind them that they are good, responsible, brave, and powerful already. So they have in the past made decisions that were as prudent and important as the one they're going to make now, so that they can give themselves peace by making the decision to cover their family adequately. We get you leads. We're a lead source. We are the lead source, I would say. So yeah, this is how the Focus Guide gets the goal, and the goal is more money. So focus gets you more money, essentially. Okay, good.